Welcome to readings of A Course of Miracles in English. I'm native speaking Swedish. So I started to read in English because I wanted to read A Course of Miracles on the original language, which Helen and Bill took it down. And we have done some readings already, so we are on Miracle Principle 38. The Holy Spirit is the mechanism of miracles. He recognizes both God's creations and your illusions. He separates the true form, the true, from the false by his ability to perceive totally rather than selectively. So what I see in this paragraph is that the Holy Spirit recognizes both God's creation and my illusions. So he is like the bridge between illusion and creation and illusion. So he is the answer that God gave us when we fell asleep and started to dream this illusion. And he kind of speaks the both languages and can translate between me and God while I am dreaming and not remembering who I am. So the Holy Spirit is the mechanism of miracles, the mechanism that remembers for me. When I can't remember that I am still as God created me, the Holy Spirit is that memory. So in the miracle, when I shift in my mind and remember who I am, what I am, that I still am as God created me, the Holy Spirit is the mechanism. And he uh, always perceives totally. I select what I perceive and I interpret it, what I perceive, and I sometimes choose the ego, I sometimes choose Holy Spirit, but Holy Spirit always perceive totally rather than selectively. So the more I surrender to the Holy Spirit, the more I will perceive totally rather than selectively. And it's the only stability there is in this crazy illusion. Holy Spirit is the only stability. And if you have reflections, please share them below. The miracle dissolves error because the Holy Spirit identifies error as false or unreal. The same as saying that by perceiving light, darkness automatically disappears. So the miracle dissolves error because the Holy Spirit identifies error as false and unreal. This is the same as I do. I identify a nightly dream as false and unreal directly. And the Holy Spirit knows that this dream is the same as a night dream. It is false or unreal. And this is the same as saying that by perceiving light, darkness automatically disappears. This is how simple it is, the awakening. Now, when we perceive light, darkness automatically disappears because we don't focus on it, we don't give it any meaning. The miracle acknowledges everyone as your brother and mine. It is a way of perceiving the universal mark of God. When I am in this shift in my mind from ego thinking to the Holy Spirit's thought system, then the miracle acknowledges everyone as my brother. So I see the Spirit in everyone, the true me, the true you. I see Christ in everyone. That's a way of perceiving the universal mark of God that is everywhere, because this is in God. We are asleep and dreaming this little uh, idea, this little crazy idea that we could separate from God. So behind everything, behind this dream, is the truth. We are still as God created us. Wholeness is the perceptual content of miracles. They thus correct or atone for the faulty perception of lack. In my experience, when I am experiencing the miracle, this shift in my mind, I feel whole. I feel like I've had a good dinner. I feel full. So wholeness is the perceptual content of miracles. You will feel full. You will feel whole because they correct or atone the faulty perception of lack, because lack doesn't exist. Lack is an idea from the ego that we lack love, that we lack God, that lack could exist. We are not created with lack, not at all. And that is what we experience. In the miracle, we experience that fullness. A major contribution of miracles is their strength in releasing you from your false sense of isolation, deprivation, and lack. Exactly. So the miracle is that I remember who and what I am, and then I experience this fullness, this wholeness. So it releases me from my false sense of isolation, deprivation, and lack. I feel like one with everyone and everything. Miracles arise from a miraculous state of mind or a state of miracle readiness. So it's not that we do miracles. It's rather that we are open to think with the Holy Spirit, and the Holy Spirit or Christ mind do miracles through us. It's just our attitude of openness for listening for Holy Spirit's guidance that makes this shift. When something happens and I interpret it like a conflict or a loss of something, I know that I've been thinking with the ego. I have chosen the ego. So I go back into my mind and I choose Holy Spirit, and I pray and I ask Holy Spirit how He would like me to see this. And that is when the miracle happens. That is becoming miracle minded. And sometimes nothing really happens, and sometimes it's like a miracle done through me that happens, like the conflict is solved without me doing anything really. Or the loss I experienced, I see it is not a loss. I am still full. I am still as God created me. The miracle is an expression of an inner awareness of Christ and the acceptance of His atonement. So, in the shift in my mind of the miracle, when I start to think with Holy Spirit, I am aware of that we are the same. We are one, and we are the whole mind, the Christ mind. So it's an inner awareness. I know that I am Christ and you are Christ, and also an acceptance of his atonement. And accept that the atonement principle is that nothing happened. What I have uh, fantasized about, dreamt about, did never change true reality, which is that nothing happened. I could never separate from God. I am still as God created me. And in the miracle, I do remember that, and I do experience that. And I accept that nothing have happened. I am still as God created me. A miracle is never lost. It may touch many people you have not even met and produced undreamed of changes in situations of which you are not even aware. So when I am willing to think with the Holy Spirit, to experience this shift in my mind, it kind of ripples off in the whole mind, because we are one Christ mind. So it ripples off everywhere and change the whole mind. So it affects, it says in other places in the Course, thousands and thousands of people it affects, whom you never know. But you can be sure, if you have experienced the miracle, if you are open to receive Holy Spirit's guidance, that is what happens. The Holy Spirit is the highest communication medium. Miracles do not involve this type of communication because they are temporary communication devices. When you return to your original form of communication with God, by direct revelation, the need for miracles is over. So the Holy Spirit is the highest communication medium. He communicates with God and with me here in the dream and translates between us. So the communication is never broken. Or And the miracles does not involve this time of communication because they are like glimpses of remembering. It's like, and then it's gone. So they are like temporary communication devices. And the more I study A Course in Miracles, the more frequent they are, and they are longer and longer. But they are still temporary devices. And when I return to my original form, they will not be needed. I will be completely aware that I am one with God. I am the whole Christ mind, and I am in God and of God. The miracle is a learning device that lessens the need for time. It establishes an out-of-pattern time interval, not under the usual laws of time. In this sense, it is timeless. So the more I remember that I'm still as God created me, the more I use this learning device, the miracle, the less time, the less need for time I have. I don't need time. I have more and more experiences of that time is not real. And the Course in other places describes it as the more we practice forgiveness and we receive the miracles, the teachings from A Course in Miracles, time is like a rug that rolls back in, and we have less and less need for this rug. So I experience a lot of these out of pattern time experiences, um, where an instant feels very long, or um, uh, I don't know how to describe it. Time can be short or long in very um, peculiar ways, and in a miracle, it can be just an instant, but it can feel like 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 the eternity. It's very, very odd, and I also see things change when I've practiced a lot of forgiveness and I receive a lot of miracles. It's like my environment changes. It can be very, very weird. So it's definitely not under the usual laws of time, and the miracle does feel timeless. The miracle is the only device at your immediate disposal for controlling time. Only revelation transcends it, having nothing to do with time at all. I don't know if I have felt felt controlling time through the miracle. I, I I feel it more like I surrender to the Holy Spirit, and the Holy Spirit will remind me if I have a meeting to go to, if I um, should do something on a particular time. If it's His will, He will remind me. It's for me to only be awake and listen to Him. That's more my experience. Maybe I will experience controlling time further on. Maybe you have experienced controlling time. Please share if you have. Only revelation transcends time, definitely. So revelation is a very um, out of time experience. I've only had one. Um, when I experienced to be outside of time and at home with God, and everybody was there, and there was only joy. And I didn't want to come back into time really, but I wanted, of course, since I came back to time. But revelation is a completely different experience than miracles. Miracles happens actually all the time. It says in both the Bible and in A Course of Miracles that it's raining. It's raining miracles in I don't know the word in English, but manna. It's called manna in Swedish. In the Bible, it's raining manna from heaven, and miracles are very everyday experiences, and revelation is not. It's definitely outside of time. The miracle makes no distinction among degrees of misperception. It is a device for perception correction, effective quite apart from either the degree or the direction of the error. This is true in indiscriminateness. So for this goes back to the first principle that says that there are no differences, no hierarchy between miracles, because they are all illusions, and the miracle makes no distinction between illusions. Illusion is illusion is illusion. So there are no distinction among degrees of misperception. So the miracle is a device for correction of perception. And it's effective no matter how difficult or how easy I think it is. So uh, sometimes we think that uh, moving a mountain would be more difficult than moving uh, like uh, I don't know how you say that in English, but like a little dust on the floor. And it's the same for a miracle because the dust on the floor or the mountain is a miracle. And when I perceive that something is easier and something is more difficult, I won't give it to the spirit to undo, so I can remember in the miracle that I'm still as God created me. So that's quite helpful, actually, to know that I need to surrender what I perceive as small or simple things as well as what I perceive as large or difficult. The miracle compares what you have made with creation, accepting what is in accord with it as true and rejecting what is out of accord as false. So the miracle is like a washing machine that washes all thoughts, all situations, whatever happens in your perception, washes it and separates the false from the truth. So it's nothing you have to do. The miracle does it. Holy Spirit does it. But what we do need to do is to separate the ego's thoughts from the spirit's thoughts. So that's something to do for us. But this washing the false from the true and to make illusions to undo illusions is the Holy Spirit's job, and I can't do Holy Spirit's job. I can only give it to him and listen to him and receive his teachings, which is the miracles. So that was the 50 principles of miracles. Now we are moving into section 2, revelation, time, and miracles. Revelation induces complete but temporary suspension of doubt and fear. It reflects the original form of communication between God and his creations, involving the extremely personal sense of creation, sometimes sought in physical relationships. Physical closeness cannot achieve it. Miracles, however, are genuinely interpersonal and result in true closeness to others. Revelation unites you directly with God. Miracles unite you directly with your brother. Neither emanates from consciousness, but both are experienced there. Consciousness is the state that induces action, so it does not inspire it. You are free to believe what you choose, and you do attest to what you believe. So, what do we see here? So I see a difference between revelation and a miracle, and that revelation is my direct contact with God, my direct communication with God. And we can have revelations here in the illusion. Many of us do. It's not needed for awakening, is what Jesus says in the Course. But many of us do have revelations. And miracles, all of us experience. And miracles is between us as brothers. I see Christ in you, you see Christ in me. That's the miracle. That what happens in the miracle. And that's true intimacy. And we often think that physical intimacy is what gives us this feeling of being one with one and another, holding hands, or sex, or just being close to other people. And it's not. The true intimacy is me seeing Christ in you and you seeing Christ in me. And this we can have with everyone. I'm sure Mother Teresa saw exactly that in all her patients. She was teaching that. That's the only thing her nurses were doing. They were seeing Christ in their brother. It doesn't matter how starved the brother seems to be, because behind that is the true self. And we all want to be seen as our true self, as Christ. Revelation is intensely personal and cannot be meaningful translated. That is why any attempt to describe it in words is impossible. Revelation induce only experience. Miracles, on the other hand, induce action. They are more useful now because of their interpersonal nature. In this phase of learning, working miracles is important because freedom from fear cannot be thrust upon you. Revelation is literally unspeakable because it is an experience of unspeakable love. That's my experience, and it was so surprising. And it's not only love. It's the joy, it's the oneness, and I can put words on it, but it still doesn't describe it. But miracles is something else. Miracles we can sometimes see, sometimes they are physical, sometimes they are not. Sometimes we can see them and we can share them and we can speak about them. And that's why this is not the book of Revelation. No, this is the book of miracles, a course in miracles, because they are useful for us now, where we are in our thought system now. And working miracles is important because freedom from fear cannot be thrust upon you. I succumb to fear now and then. I believe that I've done something wrong. I believe that I've hurt someone. I believe whatever, and I become afraid. So that's why miracles are useful for me now. They help me. They help me to become free from fear. When I now and then receive miracles and I see that I'm still as God created me, I'm not afraid anymore. Awe should be reserved for revelation, to which it is perfectly and correctly acceptable. It is not appropriate for miracles because a state of awe is worshipful, implying that one of lesser order stands before his creator. You are perfect creation and should not experience awe only in the presence of the creator of perfection, and should only I do that again. You are perfect creation and should experience awe only in the presence of the creator of perfection. The miracle is therefore a sign of love among equals. Equals should not be in awe of one another, because awe implies inequality. It is therefore an inappropriate reaction to me. An elder brother is entitled to respect for his greater experience and obedience for his greater wisdom. He is also entitled to love because he is a brother, and to devotion if he is devoted. It is only my devotion that entitles me to yours. There is nothing about me that you cannot attain. I have nothing that does not come from God. The difference between us now is that I have nothing else. This leaves me in a state which is only potential in you. So here I learn that awe is for God, not for Jesus. That Jesus and I and you, we are all equal. He is an older brother that has more experience than you and me because he has already awakened in God. So he is entitled to respect and obedience and love because he's a brother, and devotion because he is devoted. He's actually more devoted than we are at the moment. And he believes in us more than we believe in him at this moment. So the difference between us is that he only thinks with Holy Spirit, with the voice for God here. I do not. I vacillate between thinking with the ego and with the Holy Spirit. So he definitely is entitled to my respect and to me following in his footsteps because he knows. I don't, and I'm very grateful that he does. So this state of mind when I only hear one voice is potential in me. Jesus already lives it. He identifies himself as the one mind, the Christ mind, only thinking with God. I'm on my way. Not there yet, but I'm on my way. No man cometh unto the Father, but by me, does not mean that I am in any way separate or different from you, except in time. And time does not really exist. The statement is more meaningful in terms of a vertical rather than horizontal axis. You stand below me and I stand below God. In the process of rising up, I am higher because without me, the distance between God and man would be too great for you to encompass. I bridge the distance as an elder brother to you on the one hand and as a son of God on the other. My devotion to my brother has placed me in charge of the sonship, which I render complete because I share it. This may appear to contradict the statement, I and my Father are one, but there are two parts to the statement in recognition that the Father is greater. So what are we learning here? Well, we are learning that Jesus is closer to God because he has done the work already, and he's close to me as well. So he is also like a bridge. He and the Holy Spirit are one, like a bridge between me and God. And he is in charge of the sonship, and he is part of the sonship, and he is a part of God, as you and I are as well. And there is a lot of statements that seems to contradict, uh, but it's really not. It's rather that Jesus or the Holy Spirit, the voice in A Course in Miracle, speaks to us where we think we are. So Jesus has to use a dualistic language to meet me where I think I am. You see, rising up is in quotes because it's not really rising up. It is just remembering who I am, but it does definitely feel like rising up, and it's a good symbol. He's using the cross, the vertical and the horizontal uh, line, and the symbols change a little bit as we progress in learning A Course of Miracles. But here in the beginning of the book, it can definitely look like statements are opposing each other and contradicting each other, and they are not. And from the beginning, all of us read A Course in Miracles with the ego as our guide. And the more we read it, the more we take it in, we read with the Holy Spirit as our guide, and then we see it's not contradictions. It's just expressed in a way that I can understand. And Jesus was struggling with this when he was walking this earth, teaching the apostles, um, his disciples, you say in English, his disciples, and they could only take in as much as they could from his teachings. That's why we have A Course in Miracles. So we have further explanation. There are several other teachings. Jesus comes through with different kinds of symbols for different people. So A Course in Miracles is only one of thousands and thousands of ways to come back home. Revelations are indirectly inspired by me because I am close to the Holy Spirit and alert to the revelation readiness of my brothers. I can thus bring down to them more than they can draw down to themselves. The Holy Spirit mediates higher to lower communication, keeping the direct channel from God to you open for revelation. Revelation is not reciprocal. It proceeds from God to you, but not from you to God. So it's not a give and take. It's just from God to me, like an experience of who I am and who God is and what we are together. For me, it was very, very soft, very loving, felt very much at home. Uh, it was surprising. I was surprised that everyone was there. But what took over the experience was the joy and love, and um, I've always felt like an outsider, and here I was completely included, and I knew it. So both Jesus and Holy Spirit are like bridges between us and God. The miracle minimizes the need for time. In horizontal plane, the recognition of the equality of the members of the sonship appears to involve almost endless time. However, the miracle entails a sudden shift from a horizontal to a vertical perception. This introduces an interval from which the giver and the receiver both emerge further along in time than they would otherwise have been. The miracle thus has the unique property of abolishing time to the extent that it renders the interval from time it spans unnecessary. There is no relationship between the time a miracle takes and the time it covers. The miracle substitutes for learning that might have taken thousands of years. It does so by the underlying recognition of perfect equality of giver and receiver, on which the miracle rests. The miracle shortens time by collapsing it, thus eliminating certain intervals within it. It does this, however, within the larger temporal sequence. So with training in A Course in Miracles, you will experience this, and you maybe already have. Please share in the comments. And you can experience time collapsing, and you can see your environment changing in this time collapsing. I changed the garbage bag in my bathroom a couple of weeks ago, and the next morning I saw garbage that I had thrown away a couple of weeks earlier in the new garbage bin. It was just a couple of items, very, very weird. And this is like a note from Jesus or Holy Spirit that, look, you have collapsed time. You have done a lot of forgiveness work and you have received your miracles. And see, time is changing. It's collapsing. A fun experience many people have, Eckhart Tolle is one of them, is that you don't seem to age at the same pace when you are in the awakening process as other people, if you compare. I don't know if it's true. It's just a fun fact that, but it mirrors this time collapsing experience. Section 3, Atonement and Miracles. I am in charge of the process of atonement, which I undertook to begin. When you offer a miracle to any of my brothers, you do it to yourself and to me. The reason you come before me is that I do not need miracles for my own atonement, but I stand at the end in case you fail temporarily. My part in the atonement is the canceling out of all errors that you could not otherwise correct. When you have been restored to the recognition of your original state, you naturally become part of the atonement yourself. As you share my unwillingness to accept error in yourself and in others, you must join the great crusade to correct it. Listen to my voice. Learn to undo error and act to correct it. The power to work miracle belongs to you. I will provide the opportunities to do them, but you must be ready and willing. Doing them will bring conviction in the ability, because conviction comes through accomplishment. The ability is the potential. The achievement is its expression. And the atonement, which is the natural profession of the children of God, is the purpose. So Jesus stands behind me if I temporarily fail. It feels so comforting. It feels so comforting. He helps me, and he will provide the opportunities for me to allow a miracle come through me. And I often perceive the miracles as kindness. They come through me as kindness. It doesn't have to be words. It can be a gesture. It can be just touching someone or smiling or nodding. It is in your attitude. You know you are still as God created you. And you see that in another, seemingly another person. You see Christ in another person, and it comes as kindness. Sometimes it comes with clarity, and clarity that can kind of cut through lies. This unwillingness to accept error in yourself and in others, it can cut through like a sharp no, or in other words, or actions. It's just a very sharp no, and it's unbearable. This unwillingness to accept errors in yourself and other, it feels unbearable. So there is kind of not a choice. It's just a very direct no, and it's everything between this kindness and this kind of hard no. The miracle can come through. And usually in the beginning, the hard nose feels very strange. And for me, it has been an opening for the ego to come through and start to shame me, or telling me that I am doing something wrong, or I shouldn't have said no. But if I stay with the Spirit, and I have experiences when this have happened, I have asked in my mind, I've had a group of people that I'm teaching, and the hard no has come through, and the whole group is in silence, and I just pray and pray and pray, please, 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 let me make amends, let me make amends, and the Spirit just says, wait, 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 and I do as I'm told, and then somebody says something, Spirit comes through everyone. Somebody says something, and I have seen groups where the miracle is just like a ripple effect through the group, and also in time, both backwards and forwards in time. And this is our natural profession as children of God. This is the purpose, to receive his guidance, to be under the atonement principle. Nothing have happened, and we are in the vertical line, and just listen, 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 and follow his guidance, and he will show us that nothing have happened. Everyone is still as God created them. We are one. So that's the only profession I'd like to practice. And it doesn't matter if I am teaching a course of miracles. I'm a nurse at a profession, so maybe I'm at work, or I am a mother, grandmother, and I'm also a daughter and a sister. All these roles, it doesn't, or ex-wife, that too. It doesn't really matter which role. My profession, my purpose is always forgiveness, miracles, atonement. And it just makes life much more fun. Maybe we can do one more. We have 5 minutes. Let's do one more. Heaven and earth shall pass away means that they will not continue to exist as separate states. My word, which is the resurrection and the life, shall not pass away because life is eternal. You are the work of God, and his work is wholly lovable and wholly loving. This is how a man must think of himself in his heart, because this is what he is. So we are holy, holy. I used to study for Reverend Joanne Coleman at the Agape Church in Los Angeles, and she has a beautiful, beautiful song singing about how holy, holy we are, both with the H and the W. We are holy, holy. We are the work of God, and his work is holy, holy, wholly lovable and wholly loving. And this is what will remain and has been before time seems to happen. Well, we continue the reading tomorrow at the same time. And oh, it went okay. It went yellow, all of it. We start with paragraph 3 here in section 3. So for me, this session has been wonderful to read in English, and I feel very uplifted and clear and happy. Please share what this gave you and how you feel after this reading. See you tomorrow, if you like.